This ain't your ordinary football show. It's the Old Dominion Football Show with Bruce Rader and Coach Bobby Wilder. Brought to you by Priority Automotive.
Who would have thought back on Labor Day weekend that 12 weeks later, the fledgling Old Dominion football team, in its first year in the CAA, would earn a spot in the NCAA playoffs. Prior to the season, not one Old Dominion player was considered worthy of making the all-conference team. Understated to say the least, the Monarchs won game after game. The thriller against James Madison, a victory in Richmond, and then the regular season nail-biter at William and Mary. So what happens next? Let's find out. The season finale of the Old Dominion Football Show starts now. I'm Bruce Rader along with Coach Bobby Wilder. And Coach, before we get to the excitement of playoff week, a very happy Thanksgiving Day to you and your families. I assume that your players are more than willing to give up Thanksgiving holiday considering they have such a big game on Saturday.
Oh, they are absolutely thrilled to be in this game, Bruce. And you mentioned, who would have thought it back at the start of the season? We were preseason number 10 in the league, and here we are. We're in the national championship tournament, and just a great accomplishment, first and foremost by the players, but everybody at Old Dominion University for a third-year program to be in this tournament. We're absolutely thrilled.
Coach, I know game days are as exciting as they come, but how exciting was Sunday morning, having the team there, having your fans there, all together to watch the selection show?
It was like being in a dream. I say all the time, I feel like I'm living the dream in Old Dominion. That's what it felt like, and we knew our name was going to be announced, but to actually see it on national television and feel that room erupt with all of our players, all the 12 Monarchs that were there. There were 700 or 800 people in the room. It was one of those special moments that I told the kids, Bruce, put that in your mind's eye so you never, ever forget that.
I'm telling you it was. Now, I know that you felt your team deserved a first-round bye. Instead, you heard that you were going to be playing at home Saturday afternoon at 1:30 against the MEAC champions from Norfolk State. What was the first thing that went through your mind when you saw your name up there on the board?
Well, everybody hopes to get a first-round bye. There's 8 teams have to play, 12 get the bye, and you hope for a first-round bye because then that means it's one less game you have to play. I had a feeling all week long, Bruce, that we were probably going to be playing Norfolk State in the first round. Remember, the FCF playoffs are about money. That's what it all comes down to. That's the bottom line. And this is a game it's not much of an expense for the NCAA when you consider teams that have to charter and fly to play games. The excitement about this, though, Bruce, is that it's 2 schools that are 4.2 miles apart. This has never been done before, where in the FCS tournament, you have 2 schools from the same city that are playing a game. It's historic for the city of Norfolk and for Hampton Roads.
And for the fans. Now, prior to coming to Old Dominion, you spent 17 years at Maine, so you know the college football subdivision. Any surprises by the selection committee?
I really wasn't surprised, Bruce. I know a lot of people thought maybe James Madison should not have been in, but when you look at James Madison, the fact they're in the best conference in the country, you have to say right now the CAA is the best conference. 5 teams are in. The next conference to have even 3 teams was the Southern. Nobody had 5 teams, so you've got to say they deserve to be in. I'm proud of the CAA, Bruce, proud to be a part of it. You're talking about Old Dominion, Towson, Maine, New Hampshire, and James Madison, 5 teams in the 20-team field, but there really wasn't any surprises on this list. I feel like the teams that are in are deserving to be in. Now, there could have been a 6th team. Delaware at 7-4 is the only team left out of the tournament, Bruce, the only team in the country, for that matter, that had 2 wins over top 10 teams. They beat Towson and they beat us, but what hurt them, they had a Division II win. You need to have 7 1AA wins, and they did not. They had 6.
Scheduling, very important.
You're right.
Now, you didn't get your week off during the playoffs, but you did get last weekend off. So how healthy is your team going into Saturday's game?
We're as healthy as we can be, Bruce. All 56 players that were on the travel team for William and Mary are healthy and ready to go, and we're going to have a couple players back, I believe, for this game, in both Chad King, outstanding defensive end, who's an NFL prospect, who's been out for the last 4 weeks. We believe Chad will be back, and then also Reggie Owens, our true freshman corner, from Ocean Lakes High School. We believe Reggie will be back as well, so I think we're going to be healthy. Now, Norfolk State also had a bye, so both teams should be as healthy as they can be.
And that should make for a great game.
Absolutely.
When we come back, it all started with those hot summer practices. An injury to a star quarterback that would have derailed most teams in America, and now a chance for a national championship. How did the Monarchs get to where they are? Chris Reckling joins us with a look back at the season. And while Norfolk State, for the first time in school history, is the undisputed MEAC champions, they're in the playoffs. How do the Spartans feel about playing ODU? And how do the Monarchs stack up against NSU? We'll find out. The Old Dominion Football Show returns in 60 seconds. With one of the best quarterbacks in Division I AA football running the show, you had to think that Old Dominion at least had a shot at a good season this year. But when Thomas DeMarco got hurt, a lot of folks thought it was the end for the Monarchs. Not so fast. Chris Reckling joins us with that story.
Technically, Old Dominion quarterback Taylor Heineke is a freshman. But at this point in the season, and after 6 starts, Heineke plays beyond his years. Not bad for a kid from Atlanta who knew very little about play in the CAA.
Well, coming up here, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never watched a CAA game. You know, I heard this is the SEC of 1AA, so I was excited. And when I saw the talent in camp and all the coaches, I knew we had something special. And once the season started going, I had a feeling that we could, you know, take this somewhere.
But Heineke wasn't in the plans. He was supposed to redshirt and provide backup for senior Thomas DeMarco. When DeMarco went down with a high ankle sprain, Coach Bobby Wilder had no choice but to turn to Heineke, who was sympathetic to DeMarco's demotion.
Yeah, I can't imagine, you know, back in high school, if I was in my senior year and I got hurt and I was out for this long, you know, it would have been eating at me, but at the same time, he's doing a great job helping me, and he cares about the team a lot.
Heineke has played his way into CAA Rookie of the Year consideration, but he has bigger plans, and it all begins Saturday at home against the Spartans.
Well, since I'm new here, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, I didn't know much about it until all my receivers were telling me they know a bunch of people over there. It's a huge rivalry, and they're all amped up already, so I'm ready to practice. I'm ready to go. Just treat it like it's another game. You can't make one game special or not. You just got to treat it like it's another game and, you know, practice every day and get better.
In Norfolk, Chris Reckling for the Old Dominion Football Show.
Thank you, Chris. Coach, your thoughts on both Thomas DeMarco and Taylor Heineke?
It's really an incredible story, Bruce, what has happened. When you look at Thomas DeMarco, the all-time leading passer in our school's history coming into this year, gets hurt in the fifth game of our season against UMass. In comes Taylor Heineke, and Taylor Heineke has come in. He was recently voted the 3rd team all-conference quarterback as a true freshman. So that means he was recognized by the coaches. He's had an incredible run. He's 6-1 in games he started, with the only loss being that Hail Mary 4th and 29 to Towson. He could be undefeated. They're both excellent football players. We're fortunate to have 2 very good quarterbacks.
Thanks, Coach. As for the Monarchs' opponents, spirits are high at Norfolk State as the Spartans prepare for their first NCAA playoff game as well. And Ali Lucia has that story.
I'm excited. I mean, it's Battle of Norfolk, actually. I mean, we've been waiting for this since they started their program. I mean, finally get to showcase who we are against what they are. So it's going to be a good game.
For Norfolk State head football coach Pete Adrian, the Battle of Norfolk is starting a bit earlier than expected.
I both said this should be a fun rivalry to be involved in, and I believe that. And this, again, will be a great preview of things to come.
At 9-2, the Spartans share the same record as ODU, and that's not all. Before ODU had a football team, Foreman Field was home to the green and gold. That was before the Spartans had a stadium, the same place the 2 teams will meet for a chance to advance to the 2nd round. The MEAC champions are led by senior quarterback Chris Wally, who led the conference in pass efficiency.
You know, you always look forward to that. You know, obviously I think me being a senior, I'm supposed to have the better experience, so hopefully we'll come out Saturday and be on our A game.
The leadership on defense can be seen too, as the Spartans lead their conference with 34 sacks. Even though the Monarchs haven't met the Spartans on the field this season, these 2 teams have seen each other play, sorta.
Played 7-on-7 against them over the summer a lot, and I wanted to play them before I left, so I'm hyped about this game.
But come Saturday, everything is up in the air.
I don't even know. I mean, it's going to be wild and crazy, but it's all going to be fun. It's going to be for a good moment.
I think the playoffs is probably very significant because it's never been done before, and then when you throw ODU in there, it just makes it better because, you know, we're going to be playing in 2013, so it's kind of a preview. And again, it should be a very physical ball game, and you got two good football teams playing. You know, both of them are 9-2, so who knows what'll happen.
Thank you, Allie. Okay, Coach, without giving up any secrets, how do you stack up against Norfolk State?
I think we're very evenly matched. When you look at Norfolk State, you have to start with their defense. This is the third-ranked overall defense in the country, not just in their league, in the country. Offensively, you start with Chris Wally, a couple of excellent receivers led by Xavier Boyce. And offensively, Bruce, they average about 400 yards a game and 28 points, and they're excellent on special teams. They have a very good kicker. So I think it's an evenly matched football game between the two schools. And I couldn't agree with what Coach Adrian said more in terms of this being a fun rivalry. He and I talked on Sunday on the phone after we knew the announcement. And Pete Adrian and I are friends. I have great respect for what Pete has accomplished there as a head coach. He's 43-35 in 7 seasons for a program that had not won a lot of games previously to his time there. And we talked about this being a fun rivalry. We talked about this being great for the city of Norfolk and for Hampton Roads, but also hopefully our fans will understand this is a football game between two teams, and we want our players to have a great experience in this game. We want our fans to have a great experience with this game because Pete and I agree we should get it started right in this game, and that leads into what's going to be a 6-year series. So I think it's going to be a fun game.
It will be. Still to come, Coach Wilder gives us his priorities of the game for Saturday's historic playoff contest against Norfolk State, and we wrap up the season finale of the Old Dominion Football Show in 60 seconds. All right, Coach, a final word heading into the Old Dominion Norfolk State Showdown. What are your priorities of the week?
Well, the number one thing we need to do is prepare for a good team in a hurry. The excitement of the playoffs is that you find out who you're playing. They're not on the schedule, and then you've got to prepare your team in a hurry. So we'll need to do that, number one. Number two, we'll have to perform well in special teams. This is a good special teams unit at Norfolk State, so we'll have to be on our A game to perform in this football game. And then we're going to have to find a way to move the ball on offense. This is the third-ranked defense in the country. They have some exceptional players, so that'll be a challenge for us. Those are the priorities for this week's game.
All right, another season of the Old Dominion Football Show comes to an end. I want to thank Chris Reckling and Ali Lucia for their contributions every week. Our producer, Brian Parsons, our director, Andy Lewis, and his great production staff and coach. A special shout out to our sponsor, Coach Dennis Elmer, and his Priority Auto Group.
He is Coach Dennis Elmer. What an outstanding man, tremendous leader in the community, and very appreciative that he would be involved in this football show. Thank you, Dennis.
The first round of the NCAA playoffs is Saturday at 1:30 at SB Ballard Stadium. Coach Wilder, thanks for all your time this season.
Yes, sir.
I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. Enjoy the long weekend and the game. Good night, everybody.